The night sky above Titan Base shimmered like a dark ocean filled with silver fire. Commander Arlen Voss stood alone on the viewing deck, his eyes fixed on the strange cluster of stars that refused to move. Every night for 3 weeks, those same lights had appeared in the same place. They were not stars. He knew that. The base scanners said the same thing. They were metallic. They were silent. And they were waiting. Arlen's reflection in the glass looked older than he remembered. The faint glow of the console lights made the scars on his face look deeper. He had fought in wars across 3 worlds, but this silence made him uneasy. He was a man who trusted his instincts, and his instincts whispered that something ancient was about to wake up. Inside the command center, the hum of machines filled the air. A group of young technicians sat at their screens, half bored, half curious. No one really believed the strange readings from deep space. To them, it was probably a sensor glitch, a phantom signal from debris orbiting Saturn. But Arlen did not believe in ghosts of metal. Lieutenant Rhea, the youngest officer on the base, approached him with a datapad. She looked tired, but her eyes burned with excitement. "Sir, the deep scan array picked up a pattern. It's not random." She handed him the pad. The display showed faint pulses, like a heartbeat buried under static. Every 30 seconds, a rhythmic signal. Arlen studied the pattern. His fingers tightened on the pad. "This isn't natural," he said quietly. "No rock drifts in rhythm. Someone, or something, is talking." Rhea hesitated. "Talking, sir?" He nodded. "Not to us. Not yet. But that signal is calling out. Maybe to something that's been asleep for a long time." Outside the dome, a storm of methane clouds swirled over Titan's icy plains. The wind howled like a living thing. For a moment, it sounded almost like a voice. In the engineering bay, a small drone rested on a metal table. Its name was K9X, a survey drone used for surface scans. Rhea and her team were preparing it for launch. They wanted to send it closer to the anomaly, near the edge of Saturn's orbit. As she worked, she spoke softly to the machine, as if it could hear her. "You're going to find out what's hiding out there, little one." The next morning, the drone was released. It rose through the orange haze, breaking free into the black silence of space. Its small lights blinked as it sped toward the mysterious cluster. The base watched the feed in real time. At first, it was only static and dust. Then, shapes began to appear. Metallic shadows against the void. Everyone leaned closer. The camera stabilized. What they saw made the room fall silent. There were ships. Dozens of them. Massive and ancient, drifting in perfect formation. They were covered in dust and ice, as if they had been sleeping for thousands of years. Their hulls bore strange symbols, half erased by time. The largest ship was easily the size of a small moon. Rhea whispered, "They look like they're waiting for something." Arlen's voice was low. "Or someone." Before they could record more, the drone's signal began to fade. A pulse of energy rippled through the feed. For a second, one of the ship's lights flickered on, just one. Then the screen went black. Panic spread through the command center. Technicians tried to restore contact. Rhea turned to Arlen. "Sir, the energy signature, it matches nothing we know. It's not human. It's not any alien tech from the known sectors." Arlen stared at the dark screen. "Then it's something older." That night, he could not sleep. The image of that single light haunted him. A spark in the dark. He sat by the window, watching the stars. The same cluster was still there, unmoving, patient. He remembered an old legend told by deep space miners, a tale of the sleeping armada. They said long ago, before humans reached the stars, a powerful fleet vanished after a great war. Some believed it was destroyed. Others whispered it was hidden, waiting for a signal to return. He had laughed at that story once. Now, he wasn't laughing. At 0300 hours, alarms shattered the silence. The entire base shook. The technicians rushed to their stations. Rhea shouted over the noise. "Something just entered orbit. It's huge." Arlen ran to the viewport. Above Titan's horizon, a shadow moved against the stars. Slowly, a shape began to form, a colossal structure descending from the void. It was one of the ships from the cluster. It was moving toward them. The scanners screamed warnings. Radiation levels rising. Gravitational waves distorting space. Rhea turned pale. Sir, it's powering up. Arlen's voice was steady but cold. Then the Armada isn't sleeping anymore. Outside, the stars seemed to pulse, as if the universe itself had started to breathe again. The shadow of the great ship moved slowly over Titan Base. Its size was impossible to believe. It covered the sky like a dark ocean, blocking out the faint light from Saturn's rings. The base lights flickered under the growing pressure in the air. Inside, people ran from one console to another, shouting readings, but no one truly knew what was happening. Commander Arlen stood in front of the main screen, watching the massive shape descend. Every sensor screamed errors. Gravity fluctuated. Energy readings spiked and vanished again. The ship was not falling, it was moving with purpose, steady and smooth. Lieutenant Rhea's hands shook as she adjusted the sensors. Sir, it's scanning us. Every system in the base is being read. It's like it's looking inside us. Arlen clenched his jaw. Keep communications open. Try to hail it on all frequencies. The comm officer nodded and began transmitting. Unidentified vessel, this is Titan Research Base calling. Identify yourself. Do you read? Silence. No reply. The message was sent again and again. Only static answered. Then the static changed. A low hum filled the speakers. The sound was deep, almost like a voice trying to form words. Everyone froze. The noise grew clearer, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. The translator systems couldn't recognize it, but it carried a strange rhythm, as if the ship was breathing. Suddenly, a bright line of light ran across the ship's surface. Symbols began to glow faintly, ancient markings that no one could understand. They pulsed in patterns, lighting up across the hull. Rhea stared. It's waking up, sir. Before anyone could react, the power in the base cut out. The lights died. Only emergency red lights stayed on, painting every face with fear. The hum of the mysterious ship grew louder, echoing through the walls. Back up power. Arlen shouted. Already running, sir, but it's not responding, an engineer replied, panic in his voice. It's like the systems are locked by something outside. Rhea's eyes widened. It's controlling the base. Then, in the darkness, the main screen flickered. Lines of code appeared on their own, ancient and unreadable. Slowly, an image began to form, a face made of light. It was not human. It had the outline of a helmet, smooth and expressionless, with eyes that glowed faint blue. A metallic voice echoed through the speakers, broken and cold. Designation. Titan Outpost. Confirm presence of life. Arlen stepped forward. This is Commander Arlen Voss of Titan Research Base. Who are you? There was a pause. Then the voice replied, slower this time. We are the Armada. We were bound by silence. We awakened to the signal. Rhea whispered, what signal? Arlen felt a chill. The drone. The small probe they had sent earlier, it had sent a pulse. He looked at Rhea. We woke them. The face on the screen flickered. The slumber ends. The stars burn once more. The image vanished, and the power returned. The base came alive again, lights flashing, machines humming. But outside, the sky was no longer still. In orbit, more ships from the cluster were moving. One by one, their lights came on, glowing like distant suns. The fleet was awakening. Hours passed in tense silence. Every few minutes, another ship powered up. The scientists whispered theories. Were they machines? Were they a lost human fleet? Or something older? The data showed impossible energy readings, beyond any known technology. Rhea stared at the readings. Sir, they are charging something. Massive energy build-up. If they fire, Titan won't survive. Arlen didn't blink. They're not attacking. Not yet. They're testing the system. Maybe remembering how to move. In the quiet of the command room, a deep rumble shook the floor. Outside, lightning streaked through Titan sky. The great ship shifted position, slowly turning towards Saturn itself. The communication officer gasped. They're transmitting again. It's not directed at us, it's going somewhere else. Put it on speakers, Arlen said. A long tone filled the air, almost like music but built from mechanical voices. The walls seemed to vibrate with it. Then, in the distance, Saturn's rings began to shimmer with light. For a moment, it looked as if the planet was answering back. Rhea whispered, "Sir, what if that's not just a planet? What if there's something inside those rings?" Arlen didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the glowing horizon. If there is, they just woke it too. The ships began to form a pattern, moving into formation around Saturn. Their lights synchronized, creating a massive geometric shape across the black sky. The computers struggled to process the data. It was like watching a machine rewrite the stars. Suddenly, the ancient voice returned, louder than before. "The war is not over. The enemy sleeps beneath the rings. We return to finish what was begun." Every face turned pale. Rhea's voice broke. "They're preparing for a battle that ended thousands of years ago." Arlen's heart pounded. "And we're standing in the middle of their battlefield." The base alarms went off again. Outside, one of the smaller ships broke formation and began to descend rapidly. Its engines burned with white fire. Arlen shouted, "Brace for impact." The ground trembled as the ship crashed into the icy plains several kilometers away. A shockwave rolled across the surface, shaking every wall in the base. When the dust cleared, Rhea looked at the sensors. "Sir, it didn't explode. It landed." Arlen stared out the window at the distant glow where the ship had fallen. "Then something, or someone, is coming out." Outside, the snowstorm grew stronger. The glow from the fallen ship brightened, and a shadow began to move within it, tall, slow, deliberate. The Armada had truly awakened. The storm outside Titan Base raged without mercy. Winds howled over the frozen plains where the massive ship had fallen. Its metallic body glowed faintly under the orange sky, half buried in ice and snow. Lightning cracked across the horizon, lighting the shadow that moved near the wreck. Commander Arlen stood on the command deck, his eyes fixed on the live feed from the surface drones. The cameras shook with static, but one image came through clear enough to make the entire room fall silent. A tall figure was walking out from the broken hull. Its body shone like liquid metal. Each step was slow, heavy, but precise. The snow hissed and melted under its feet. It looked humanoid, but its movements were too perfect, too controlled. A symbol glowed on its chest, the same symbol that had appeared on the Armada ships. Lieutenant Rhea whispered, "Sir, it's one of them." Arlen nodded slowly. "Zoom in." The screen flickered and focused on the creature's face. It was smooth and silver, with faint blue light where eyes should have been. The figure stopped and turned its head toward the drone camera. For a moment, it just stared. Then, it raised one hand. The feed went black. Every console in the room blinked off for 2 seconds. When the power returned, a strange voice echoed through the speakers. "You are not the enemy. Identify your command." The room froze. Arlen stepped closer to the microphone. "This is Commander Arlen Voss of Titan Research Base. We mean no harm." There was silence. Then the voice came again, calmer this time. "You have awakened the fleet. The cycle begins once more. The enemy must not rise." Rhea looked at Arlen. "Enemy? What enemy?" Before Arlen could answer, the figure began walking again. It was moving straight toward the base. The motion sensors showed its speed, fast, too fast for anything human. "Seal the gates," Arlen ordered. "All personnel to defense stations." The heavy blast doors of the base closed, locking tight. Outside, the storm grew worse, snow and methane ice swirling like ghosts. Through the observation window, a faint blue glow appeared in the distance. It was coming closer. Minutes later, the outer sensors detected contact. The figure had reached the perimeter. Then a loud metallic thud shook the airlock door. The creature was standing right outside. "Sir, it's trying to communicate again," the communications officer said. "It's sending a signal, not trying to break in." Arlen hesitated, then gave the order. "Open a channel." The voice filled the room again. "We fought the Great War beyond the stars. We were betrayed. We were sealed in the void until the signal came. You have sent that signal. Arlen frowned. You're saying your war is still going on? The voice replied, almost like it understood fear. The enemy hides beneath the rings. We slept to keep them bound. If they wake, all life in this system will fall. Rhea leaned toward Arlen. Sir, what if that energy pulse we detected earlier wasn't just their awakening signal? What if it also woke the enemy? Arlen's eyes narrowed. Then we may have started something we can't stop. Outside, the figure raised its arm and pressed its hand against the frozen wall of the base. A flash of light ran through the metal, and suddenly, a small circle of the wall began to melt away. Before anyone could react, the being stepped through the opening as if the wall were smoke. Guns were raised instantly. The creature stood still, its hands open, showing no threat. Its eyes dimmed to a soft glow. Arlen stepped forward slowly. You're standing inside a human facility. Identify yourself. The being tilted its head. Designation, Guardian Unit 7. Commander of the Vanguard Fleet. Our mission, containment. Containment of what? The voice grew quieter. The swarm. They are ancient machines that consume all energy. They cannot think. They only feed. They sleep beneath your great ringed world. If they wake, they will spread again. The room was silent. Only the hum of the generators filled the air. Arlen spoke carefully. And what do you want from us? The Guardian's eyes brightened. You have technology, energy, a signal strong enough to reach the void. You will help us seal them again. Rhea whispered to herself, we're helping a war that started before humans even existed. The Guardian turned its head toward her. All life is part of the war, young one. The enemy does not choose. It consumes. Before anyone could respond, the base shook violently. Alarms screamed. The radar screens flashed red. Sir, the technician shouted. Something massive is rising from Saturn's rings. Multiple contacts. Energy spikes off the scale. Arlen ran to the window. The distant planet shimmered with violent light. The rings began to twist and break apart like shattered glass. From the glowing cracks, dark shapes started to emerge, huge, insect-like machines with glowing red cores. The Guardian turned toward the window. Its voice grew sharper. The swarm awakens. Outside, one of the dark machines broke free from the rings and headed toward Titan. It moved faster than any known ship, leaving a trail of burning debris behind. Arlen shouted, all defense systems online. Rhea, get the rail cannons powered up. But the Guardian raised its hand. Your weapons will not stop them. Only the Armada can. It touched its chest, and a burst of light shot upward through the roof of the base. The beam stretched into the sky, reaching toward the fleet still orbiting above. In the darkness of space, the Armada ships began to move again. Their engines flared bright blue as they aligned into formation. The Guardian looked at Arlen. You wanted to know what waited above your stars. Now you will see. Outside, the first of the swarm broke through Titan's atmosphere. Its red eyes burned like fire as it descended toward the surface. The Armada ships turned their guns toward it, and the silence of space broke into the roar of a forgotten war reborn. The sky above Titan burned with light and chaos. The first clash between the ancient Armada and the rising swarm filled the heavens with fire. Ships moved like glowing blades through the darkness, firing energy beams that sliced across the icy clouds. From the surface, it looked like the stars themselves were at war. Commander Arlen stood by the observation window, watching what no human had ever seen before. The great ships of the Armada moved in perfect formation, their blue lights cutting through the void. Each blast from their weapons was strong enough to light the entire moon for seconds. But the swarm was endless. Dark metallic creatures swarmed around the fleet like a cloud of black wings. Their red eyes burned as they dived toward the glowing ships, tearing into them with long claws that crackled with energy. The sky trembled as explosions echoed across space. Inside Titan base, alarms blared. Rhea shouted over the noise. The shields are holding for now, but the radiation levels are rising fast. If this keeps up, the base won't last more than a few hours. Arlen turned to the Guardian, who stood silent near the command console, watching the battle with motionless eyes. "Can you stop them?" Arlen demanded. The Guardian's voice was calm, almost emotionless. "The Armada fights as it once did. But the swarm has grown. They have fed on planets unseen. The seal that held them is broken. This battle alone will not end them." Rhea's voice shook. "Then what will?" The Guardian looked at the holographic map of Saturn's rings, now glowing red with enemy movement. "We must awaken the core ship, the heart of the Armada. Only it holds the weapon that can burn the swarm's hive." Arlen frowned. "Where is it?" The Guardian's eyes glowed brighter. "Buried beneath your world." The words hit the room like thunder. "Beneath Titan?" Rhea asked in disbelief. The Guardian nodded slowly. "Long ago, when the war first ended, the heart was hidden deep under the ice to rest until the signal called it again. That signal was yours." Arlen felt a heavy weight settle on his chest. "Then we need to reach it. Show us where." Outside, another Armada ship exploded in silence. A wave of debris fell through the atmosphere, burning like meteors. The impact shook the ground. Alarms screamed again as part of the base lost power. Arlen pointed toward the distant plains. "That crash site, can we use the tunnels there?" Rhea checked the map. "Yes, they lead down into the old mining shafts. But the storm is too strong. We'll need a crawler." Arlen turned to the Guardian. "You coming with us?" The machine's blue eyes flickered. "I am bound to protect the heart. Lead the way." Within minutes, the surface team prepared. Arlen, Rhea, 3 soldiers, and the Guardian entered the heavy transport crawler. The engines roared to life, cutting through the storm. Snow and ice whipped against the metal shell as they rolled toward the distant crash site. Inside the crawler, the atmosphere was tense. No one spoke for several minutes. The sound of thunder and distant explosions filled the silence. Finally, Rhea spoke softly. "Do you think we can actually help them, sir? They've been fighting this war since before humans even existed." Arlen kept his eyes on the storm outside. "Maybe helping them is the only reason we're still alive." The Guardian's voice filled the silence. "Life repeats itself. The young always awaken the old. But your kind still has something even the Armada lost long ago: hope." The crawler reached the crash site. The massive wreck of one of the smaller Armada ships lay broken across the plains, glowing faintly blue. A gaping hole in the ice led downward into the dark. Arlen activated his helmet light. "That must be the entrance." They climbed down carefully, using cables and light sticks. The tunnel walls were smooth, carved long ago by machines not human. Strange glowing veins ran through the ice, pulsing faintly as if alive. Rhea whispered, "Sir, this doesn't look like a mine. It looks like part of the Armada." The Guardian nodded. "The heart sleeps below. Follow the light." They descended deeper. The air grew warmer, and a low hum vibrated through the ground. Finally, the tunnel opened into a massive chamber. In the center stood a colossal structure buried in the ice, a ship unlike any other. Its hull was gold and silver, covered in symbols that shifted like water. It pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. Rhea stared in awe. "It's beautiful." Arlen stepped closer. "So that's the heart of the Armada." The Guardian raised its arm, and light spread from its hand, forming a bridge of energy that led to the ship. "The heart sleeps, but it will hear me." It stepped forward and pressed its hand against the surface of the ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ice began to crack and melt. The chamber shook as the giant vessel started to move. Lights flared across its hull like stars waking from a dream. From the comlink, the command center's voice broke through. "Commander, the enemy is breaking through the fleet. They're heading toward your location." Arlen shouted over the noise. "How many?" "Dozens. Maybe more." The Guardian turned to him. "Then we must awaken the heart now." A deep voice echoed through the chamber, ancient and heavy. "Identity confirmed. Guardian Unit 7. Command override accepted. Heart of the Armada, awakening." The golden ship began to rise, shaking the ground. Energy surged through the tunnels, spreading up toward the surface. Rhea covered her ears as the sound of the awakening ship roared like thunder. "Sir, it's coming online." Arlen could only watch as the ice shattered around them. The heart lifted higher, glowing brighter until the entire chamber was filled with light. The Guardian's voice was steady. "Now the war begins again. The heart will burn the dark." Outside, on the surface of Titan, the clouds split apart as the enormous ship broke free from the ice. It rose into the storm, glowing like a new sun. The swarm above turned as one, their red eyes locking on their ancient enemy. The sleeping giant had awakened. The ground shook as the heart of the armada tore free from the ice. The storm around Titan base split apart under its power. Lightning bent around the massive ship like it was alive. Its golden hull glowed brighter than anything Arlen had ever seen. It rose slowly, steady and graceful, as if it remembered every motion from ages long past. Commander Arlen shielded his eyes from the light. The air crackled with static. He and Rhea stood at the edge of the crater where the heart had slept for centuries. The Guardian watched silently beside them, its blue eyes reflecting the storm of energy above. In the skies, the war raged. The Armada's fleet was breaking apart under the endless assault of the swarm. Dozens of enemy shapes moved through the black clouds, their red eyes like burning coals. Each explosion lit up the sky like lightning. Arlen heard Rhea's voice through the comm. "Sir, the heart's energy levels are rising fast. It's pulling power from every source around it, including Titan base." He frowned. "That means we're running on borrowed time." The Guardian stepped forward, staring up at the shining ship. "The heart must reach full charge. When it fires, the swarm will fall. But if interrupted before that, it will collapse. The energy release would destroy this moon." Rhea's eyes widened. "You mean, if something goes wrong, Titan is gone?" "Yes," the Guardian said. "But if we stop it, the swarm will spread. Both paths lead to death. One must be chosen." Arlen felt the weight of the moment settle on him. Above, one of the Armada ships exploded, sending debris raining down. He took a deep breath and turned to Rhea. "We hold the line. We give the heart time to charge." She nodded, fear in her eyes but determination in her voice. "Yes, sir." The Guardian extended its hand, and a small glowing sphere formed in the air. "This will connect you to the heart's control mind. You will see what we see." The sphere floated toward Arlen and entered his chest. For a moment, he gasped, feeling his mind pulled into a storm of light and sound. Images flashed before his eyes, battlefields in ancient space, fleets of ships larger than cities, and endless swarms of dark machines devouring stars. A voice echoed inside his head. "Human commander. You stand before eternity. Speak your command." Arlen struggled to breathe. "I'm here to help you finish the war." "Then your will shall guide us," the voice replied. When his vision cleared, Arlen realized he was still standing by the crater, but now he could feel the ship's pulse like a heartbeat. It was connected to him. Above, the heart fired its first shot. A beam of golden light cut through the void, slicing hundreds of swarm drones apart. The explosion was blinding. For a second, the sky looked like dawn had broken over Titan. Rhea shouted over the comm, "Direct hit. The swarm's lines are breaking." Arlen could feel the heart responding to his thoughts. He focused again, and another blast fired, carving through the enemy formation. The Guardian watched in silence, its metallic face unreadable. But then, something changed. The swarm began to shift. The smaller drones moved aside as something enormous emerged from Saturn's rings. It was darker than space itself, a shape so vast it blocked the light of the planet behind it. Its surface glowed with red veins that pulsed like blood. Rhea whispered, "Sir, what is that?" The Guardian's voice was almost a whisper. "The swarm's hive lord. The first machine. The one that ended the stars." Arlen's heart pounded. The hive lord opened what looked like wings, though they were made of metal and fire. Its voice rumbled across every communication channel at once, deep and cold. "The silence is broken. The feast begins again." The heart responded automatically, shifting into a defensive pattern. Arlen felt the strain of its energy through his connection. It was powerful, But the Hive Lord was older, stronger. Rhea's console beeped. Sir, energy levels dropping. The heart's charge is unstable. Arlen clenched his fists. We can't stop now. If it finishes charging, it can destroy that thing. The Guardian turned toward him. Then we must protect it. Even if it means your death. Arlen met its glowing eyes. We came this far. Dying isn't the worst thing that could happen. Losing everything is. The Hive Lord raised its arms. A wave of red energy burst from its core, spreading through the void like a storm. The smaller swarm ships followed behind it, diving toward Titan. The Guardian stepped forward and raised its arm. A shimmering blue barrier spread across the surface of the moon, protecting the base for a few precious seconds. Shield holding, Rhea said, but not for long. Arlen reached for the control link again, focusing all his strength. The heart of the Armada began to glow even brighter. The golden light grew until it filled the horizon. Then, through the chaos, Arlen heard the voice again. Human, you are not built to bear this power. It will burn you. He gritted his teeth. Then burn me later. Fire now. The heart roared. A massive beam of light shot upward, cutting straight into the Hive Lord's chest. The impact shook the sky. The swarm screamed, their red lights flickering as the beam carved through their leader. For a moment, it looked like victory. But the Hive Lord did not die. It reached out, its claws of metal stretching through space like shadows. It struck the heart of the Armada, sending shockwaves through the entire planet. Arlen fell to his knees as pain ripped through his body, the connection burning his mind. Rhea ran to him. Sir, disconnect. You'll die. He looked at her through the chaos. If I stop, everything dies. The heart fired again, but the Hive Lord's claws dug deeper, draining its light. Titan trembled as the two giants of metal and will fought across the void. The Guardian looked at the glowing sky, its voice low. One life for many. That is the way of the Armada. Rhea held Arlen's hand as his strength began to fade. Sir, please. You can't win like this. He smiled weakly. Then maybe I'll just buy us time. Outside, the golden ship flared once more, its light burning brighter than any sun. The swarm fell back, and the Hive Lord roared in pain. The battle shook the heavens. Silence fell after the storm. The sky above Titan dimmed to a strange gray. The golden light of the heart faded slowly, sinking back into the thick clouds. The swarm had stopped moving. Their red eyes flickered weakly, like dying stars. Commander Arlen lay on the frozen ground near the crater. His body trembled, smoke rising from the armor on his chest. The link sphere that had connected him to the heart was gone, burned away. Rhea knelt beside him, shaking his shoulder. Sir, can you hear me? His eyes opened slowly. They glowed faintly, the same golden hue as the heart's light. I'm still here, he whispered. His voice was weak, but steady. Above them, the heart floated silently. Its hull was cracked and darkened, but it still pulsed faintly, alive but resting. The Guardian stood beside it, unmoving, its blue eyes dim. Rhea looked at the sky. The swarm ships drifted without control, their formation broken. We did it, she said softly. We stopped them. The Guardian's voice broke the quiet. No. You delayed them. The Hive Lord still lives. Arlen pushed himself up, breathing hard. It retreated. Yes, the Guardian said. It was wounded, not destroyed. It will rebuild within Saturn's core. When it rises again, the war will return. Rhea clenched her fists. Then what was the point of this? We nearly died for nothing. The Guardian turned its head toward her. You misunderstand. Time is victory. Every moment we keep them sleeping is a breath for all life. Arlen struggled to his feet. Then we need more than time. We need a way to end it for good. The Guardian stepped closer. There is one way. But the heart cannot do it alone. It needs a command soul strong enough to merge with it completely. Rhea frowned. A command soul. A mind that will never break, the Guardian said. When the first Armada was born, every ship was bound to its commander through a living link. When they died, The ships fell silent. But the heart has found another link. Its glowing eyes turned toward Arlen. Rhea's breath caught. No. You can't mean. The Guardian nodded. The heart chose him. His mind endured the link when no other could. He carries its light now. Arlen looked down at his trembling hands. Golden veins glowed faintly under his skin. You're saying it bonded to me? Yes. You are part of the Armada now. Rhea shook her head. No, he's human. You can't take him. The Guardian's tone softened. He already gave himself when he touched the light. The heart will not release him. Arlen looked at the distant horizon, where the faint glow of Saturn shone through the clouds. He could still feel it, the faint heartbeat of the heart pulsing inside him. It wasn't painful now. It was calm, powerful, almost peaceful. What happens if I let it finish the merge? He asked quietly. The Guardian stepped closer. You will become its core. You will not die, but you will not remain as you are. Your thoughts will guide the Armada. Your body will fade into light. Rhea's eyes filled with tears. There has to be another way. Arlen smiled faintly. Maybe there isn't. Maybe this is what we're here for. Before anyone could speak, the ground trembled again. A deep rumble echoed from the direction of Saturn. The swarm ships that had fallen still began to twitch. Their red lights flickered brighter, one by one. The Guardian raised its arm. They reawaken. The Hive Lord calls them back. Arlen's voice grew firm. Then we don't have time. He turned to Rhea. Get everyone out of the base. Evacuate the surface. Get them to orbit if you can. She shook her head violently. I'm not leaving you. You have to, he said. Someone has to tell Earth what's coming. If this doesn't work, they'll need to prepare. Rhea bit her lip but didn't argue. Her voice trembled. If you're staying, then you'd better win. Arlen smiled again. That's the plan. She turned and ran toward the crawler, her silhouette fading into the storm. The Guardian faced Arlen. You are certain of this? Yes. Then kneel, commander of the new Armada. Arlen dropped to one knee. The Guardian placed its metallic hand on his shoulder. A surge of golden energy flowed through him. The wind roared, and the sky above opened. The heart's lights came alive again, burning brighter and brighter until everything around them glowed like dawn. Arlen's voice echoed through the storm, carried on the light. Armada, rise. One by one, the remaining ships above Titan turned toward the heart. Their engines lit up in unison, answering the new command. The sky filled with the hum of awakening power. The Guardian stepped back. It is done. You are bound. Arlen's eyes blazed like stars. He looked up toward Saturn, where the Hive Lord's dark shape moved again within the rings. Then let's finish what they started. The heart lifted higher, surrounding itself in golden light. The Armada ships formed up behind it, stronger and steadier than before. The new command pulsed through them all, a human voice, calm and clear. Across the black sky, the swarm began to rise again, screaming through the void. The Hive Lord's massive shadow turned toward Titan, red fire burning in its chest. Arlen stood beneath the golden light, his body glowing, his voice merging with the machines. For every world you burned, he said, this is where it ends. The sky erupted once more as the heart of the Armada fired its beam into the darkness. The war was not over. It was reborn. The light from the heart burned brighter than ever. Golden energy spread across Titan's sky, chasing away the storm clouds. The ground shook as the ancient ships of the Armada awakened one by one. Their hulls glowed with old markings, each symbol pulsing like a heartbeat returning after centuries of silence. Commander Arlen stood at the center of it all. His body was still human, but the golden lines running under his skin shone brighter now. His eyes no longer looked tired. They glowed with the calm power of something beyond human. From orbit, the crew of the human carrier Atlas watched the storm of light below. Rhea stood on the command deck, her hands trembling on the console. The transmission from Titan came through at last. It was Arlen's voice. Rhea, listen. The Armada is awake. I don't know how long I can stay like this, but I'll hold the Hive back. Get the survivors out. Don't look back. Her throat tightened. You can't fight it alone, she said. I'm not alone anymore, Arlen replied. Behind his voice, hundreds of faint echoes spoke as one, the voices of the ships, the guardians, the sleeping commanders. Together, they formed a single will. The Hive Lord moved. From within Saturn's rings, the massive shadow unfurled its wings of black light. Each wing stretched for miles, made of living metal and fire. The swarm ships gathered around it, repairing, reshaping, forming one giant shape that blotted out the stars. On Titan, the Guardian turned toward Arlen. It comes. This is the final cycle. If we fail, there will be no waking again. Arlen lifted his hand, and the heart's energy flared. Then we won't fail. The armada rose higher. Their formation spread in a circle, surrounding the heart. They moved like a living constellation, ancient ships guided by one human mind. Arlen could feel each of them as if they were his own hands, his own breath. The pulse of power, the hum of the engines, the whisper of their thoughts. As they reached orbit, the Hive Lord's voice filled the void. It was deep and cold, echoing across the comms like thunder. You are not the first to resist, it said. The stars remember none who defied us. You will fade like dust. Arlen replied with quiet strength. Then remember this dust. The Hive Lord unleashed its attack. A wave of crimson energy tore through space, breaking moons and scattering debris. The first line of the armada met it head-on. Shields cracked. Ships burned. But none fell. Their golden light held firm, like a wall of fire standing against the storm. Rhea watched from Atlas, unable to look away. Every flash of light in the distance was like a heartbeat, every explosion a whisper of Arlen's will. Inside the heart, Arlen could feel the pain of the ships as if it were his own. He guided them tighter, focusing their energy into one point. Now, he said. The heart's central core glowed, brighter and brighter, until even the hive's darkness could not swallow it. A golden beam shot forward, piercing the center of the Hive Lord's chest. The impact echoed across the rings of Saturn like a drumbeat. For a moment, silence followed. Then the hive screamed, a terrible, living sound that shook the stars themselves. Its dark armor cracked, spilling red light like blood. But it was not over. The Hive Lord's form shifted, breaking apart into thousands of smaller shapes. Each fragment turned into a new creature, glowing red like burning glass. They surrounded the heart, slashing at the armada ships with bladed limbs and energy claws. Adaptive form, the Guardian said through the link. It divides to survive. Arlen gritted his teeth. Then we strike faster. He reached deeper into the heart's memory, pulling from the sleeping thoughts of the old commanders. Their strategies, their courage, their voices filled his mind. For a moment, he was not just Arlen, he was everyone who had fought before. The armada moved as one. Golden trails cut through space as ships dived and turned, weaving through the swarm. Every blast of their cannons left streaks of light across the void. The hive's creatures fell one after another, burning up in silence. But the Hive Lord's voice came again, darker this time. You carry their fire, human, but you do not understand. I am not a mind. I am hunger itself. Arlen's hands tightened. Then I'll starve you. He pushed the heart's power to the limit. Energy flooded through him, burning his nerves like fire. His human body began to fade, turning transparent, merging with the golden light. He felt everything, the stars, the ships, the space between them. For the first time, he wasn't just fighting the hive. He was the armada. Rhea watched as the heart expanded into a giant sphere of light, surrounding the enemy. Tears streamed down her face. Come back, she whispered. Please come back. Inside the sphere, Arlen's voice echoed faintly. If I don't, remember us. Then the light swallowed everything. From the Atlas, it looked like a new sun had been born beside Saturn. For a few moments, space itself seemed to tremble. Then the light dimmed. The hive's presence vanished. The enemy ships stopped moving. Rhea's heart pounded. Did they win? She whispered. No one answered. The Guardian's final transmission came through the static. The hive sleeps once more. The armada returns to its rest. The commander remains with them. Rhea covered her face with her hands. She didn't know if she should cry or smile. Somewhere, beneath the stars, the golden ships drifted silently once again, surrounding the faint glow of the heart. But deep inside that light, something still breathed. A voice whispered quietly across the void. The stars are not silent, not yet. Months passed after the Battle of Saturn. The system had gone quiet. No signal, no movement, no sound. The once burning rings of the planet floated cold and dim, scattered with frozen fragments of wreckage and golden dust. Earth called it the Silent Dawn. The war had ended, but nobody knew how. The hive was gone. The swarm stopped transmitting. The last human ship, Atlas, had returned home carrying only fragments of what happened. Rhea was not among those who went back. She stayed in orbit near Titan, waiting. Every day, she sent a signal into the black void, hoping for an answer. "Commander Arlen," she whispered into the comm. "If you can hear this, it's been 200 days. The swarm is still gone. The skies are clear. But I'm still here. I'll wait." Her voice echoed in the silence, swallowed by space. One night, the stars above Titan flickered. It was faint, like a breath in the dark, but she noticed. The same faint golden shimmer she had seen before. Her heart started to race. She checked her sensors. Nothing. No signal, no energy spike. Just a flicker. But then it happened again, brighter this time. A thin beam of golden light shone from far beyond Saturn's rings. Rhea's hands trembled. "It's him," she whispered. She ordered the shuttle to follow the signal. The engines ignited softly, carrying her through the frozen rings, past the wreckage of the Armada ships that now floated like quiet tombs. They were beautiful even in silence, each one covered in frost, their markings glowing faintly as if still dreaming. The light led her deeper into the shadow of Saturn. There, hidden between two massive fragments of ice, she saw it, the heart. Its hull was cracked but still alive, faintly pulsing like a slow heartbeat. Rhea's eyes filled with tears. "You came back." She docked the shuttle and entered through a broken airlock. Inside, the ship was dark, cold, silent. The walls were covered in strange golden veins that still glowed faintly. She walked carefully through the corridor until she reached the command core. The crystal sphere that had once held the heart's power stood at the center. It was dim now, but as she approached, it flickered. "Arlen," she whispered. A faint voice answered her. "You shouldn't have come." She froze. It was him, quiet, distant, but unmistakably him. "Where are you?" she asked. "I'm here," he said. The sphere glowed brighter, and his silhouette appeared inside the light, faint like a memory. But not as before. "I'm part of it now." Rhea stepped closer, her eyes full of both wonder and pain. "I thought you were gone." "I almost was," he said softly. "The hive tried to consume everything. I used the Armada's energy to trap it. We both sleep now, inside this light." "Then we can wake you," she said quickly. "We can bring you home." He shook his head slowly. "No. If I wake, the hive wakes too. The cycle begins again. Someone has to stay and watch." Tears rolled down her face. "You can't just stay here forever." Arlen smiled faintly. "It's not forever. Just long enough for humanity to be ready. When the stars call again, they'll need someone who remembers." She pressed her hand against the glass of the sphere. "Then I'll remember for you." The light around him flickered, gentle and warm. "You already do." The heart pulsed one last time, and the light began to fade. His voice grew softer. "Go, Rhea. The Armada sleeps, but it listens. When the time comes, you'll hear the call." The glow dimmed, leaving only silence. Rhea stood there for a long time, listening. The ship hummed faintly, like a lullaby from another age. Then she turned and walked back toward the shuttle. As she left the heart behind, she looked back once more. The golden light blinked faintly, like a star winking from far away. Years later, back on Earth, Rhea became the head of the Stellar Defense Command. Under her guidance, humanity began to rebuild, not in fear, but in memory of the Armada. They studied the fragments, decoded the signals, and built ships of their own. Smaller, faster, brighter. And every ship carried the same symbol on its hull, a golden star crossed by a ring of light. The mark of the sleeping armada. Sometimes, when the deep space sensors scanned Saturn, they caught a strange pattern of energy, soft, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat beneath the rings. Scientists called it interference. But the old commanders knew better. They said it was the voice of the man who became the armada, still watching, still guarding. Rhea often stood by the window of her office, looking up at the stars. On quiet nights, she would whisper, "We're still here." And somewhere, far beyond Saturn, deep within the frozen silence, a golden pulse answered, slow, steady, and alive. The armada still slept. But it was listening. And one day, when the stars darkened again, it would wake.